All right, now hold that note, because that's going to transition right into that good old question.
Yes.
Can you share a horror story where everything went wrong?
Where everything went wrong. I mean, I've had deals, we went to the closing table. The seller called in and said, I'm not closing. I'm not selling my house anymore.
That's horrible.
So wait, they brought you guys almost to the finish line?
We were done.
And they just said...
And we were at the closing table. We were getting ready to close. The buyer got their checks. We're there. And
the checks was ready to be given
out?
out?
The buyer brought their checks, for closing. And we're sitting there, and the seller's not there yet. And we're waiting. And next thing you know, she calls into the closing. They put her on speakerphone, and she says, I'm not coming. I'm not selling my house anymore.
Wow.
So everybody's dreams were dashed that day. When things like that, it's horrible. Because I don't think it's not just about me. Like, I'm not getting a check today, which stinks. Right. But I'm thinking about the buyer. Like, what am I doing for her now? Because she gave notice to her apartment. Her landlord has somebody that's moving in next week.
They have nowhere to live.
She has nowhere to live because you pulled the rug out from under us. But things like that happen, and those are the worst days because you got to really
all that work.
But you got to just pull it together, and you got to make the best out of things.
Just think about it, Jay. All the inspection,
everything
we spoke about, all the questions we went through, all the money, the inspections, getting the loan, and then to come to the table
and here
the seller just say, I don't want to do it no more.
Yeah,
that's your money. My check is cut. I thought I was about to pay my mortgage.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You understand?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Oh yeah,
that's horrible.
It is. It's horrible because a day of a closing, everybody's excited. That's you get the rug pulled out from underneath you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Everyone's Got a Story. I'm your host, Lyndon Jr. Co-hosting with me is none other than Tiffany. Tiffany, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody?
All right, we are back, episode 4, and boy, this is going to be a good one. Today's guest will take us down the journey of becoming a realtor and broker. As we unpack this story, we'll get a better understanding of what it takes to be a realtor. This episode will provide gems and knowledge that you should hold on to for a lifetime. You may even increase your chances of getting your first home for 2024. Whether you're buying, selling, or flipping, stay tuned, unpack this journey, and let's get into this show.
That's right.
Now, without further ado, I want to introduce to you my friend, and maybe your next realtor, the one and only Kristin Burnett. Clap it up one time for your home. Clap it up one time.
Hi, thank you. Thank you guys for having me today.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
We're very happy for you to be here.
All right. Now, listen, let me get this disclaimer out the way, Kristin. It is advisable to consult with a trusted real estate agent
You
and
must
mortgage.
always use me.
That's right. That's right. It is advisable to consult with a trusted real estate agent and mortgage lender to get personalized guidance for individual circumstances. All right? We got that out the way. Now, let's have a great conversation, y'all.
Let's.
Look great.
Thank you. So do you. You look lovely.
You too.
We're wearing matching boots.
Yes.
We got the same
Girl
vibe
power.
going on.
Woman power.
Y'all called each other before the show?
Listen,
maybe.
So we were speaking about mortgage eligibility, and we do know that credit is really important.
Yes.
And it's a major factor. Let us know how important credit is when
It's the number one factor when it comes to getting qualified to buy a house.
Okay.
They look at your credit first. I mean, credit, income, that comes into play, but credit's number one. Because if you have too much debt, they look at your debt to income ratio, they look at your credit score. There are a lot of factors that come into play in regards to your credit, but that's the first thing they look at. Okay. So credit's key. So you have to make sure, you make your payments on time. There's no charge-offs, no bankruptcy filings. I mean, if you did file bankruptcy, usually you have to wait about 7 years before you could try for certain loans. I think with the FHA, though, it's 2 years. But you'd have to check with a mortgage banker to really find out. But credit's key.
What's a number? Give the people an actual number of what you think is a good number.
They're looking for, the better your credit score, the better your interest rate.
What's the average?
Is there an average?
The average credit score?
Yeah, like for...
a lot of people are in the 700s.
Okay.
700s. I mean, I believe the highest you could go up to is 800.
Okay.
But I come across a lot of people in their 700s, and don't be discouraged because people in their 600 in the 600 range could get qualified for a mortgage too.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Christian, correct me if I'm not correct. You can also get a cosigner if your credit is a little shaky, right?
You can get a cosigner. If you first go in to get qualified for a mortgage and you need credit repair, there are people that do credit repair to boost up your credit score. Takes a couple of months, and then you go back in and you get it done.
All right, I really want the viewers at home to, I want to get anybody who may think they can't do it a fair shot to really watching this episode and leave and say, all right, no, I'm gonna go get pre-approved today and see what I got going on.
Because that's where it starts. You know, if that's your, before you buy a house, let me start here.
Yes.
You may owe a $200 T-Mobile bill from 7 years ago, and the saying is it's going to be off your credit, but it's actually not, and it could be hurting your score.
Yes.
So, like you said, there's a lot of free credit repair services as well. Yeah. So that's a good place to start.
Sure.
So in ranking, if you had a to-do list, where would you rank being pre-approved?
Number one.
Number one. Okay. That is the number one.
Because if you're not pre-approved, you don't know how much you can afford. Right. You don't know what price range you should be looking in.
Okay.
And you can't go out there blind like that because you'll be all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Kristin, besides a conventional loan, what other mortgages should buyers be aware of?
There's the FHA loan.
Okay.
Which is really a first-time home buyer loan. It's a government loan. It's 3.5% down. You can finance your closing costs, so it works well for first-time home buyers.
Excellent. Okay.
So you can go into it with little money.
What are the costs attached to having a mortgage? People always talk about, but like what really, as you get technical,
like break it down so people understand.
Principal and interest.
Principal and interest.
You got your taxes.
Okay.
The taxes for the overall.
For the property.
Number. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the price of the house, basically.
Yeah. Okay. For your yearly taxes get broken down monthly, and then your homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
The PMI.
Well, PMI is the private mortgage insurance,
which will fall under if you did it with a FHA loan. You would get.
You would have that. It's you only forego PMI if you put down 20% or more.
Okay.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know. So over 20% or more, you avoid the PMI.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But a lot of people can't afford to put down 20%. So, and realistically, most people are going to be paying a private mortgage.
Yeah, especially with the prices that we're seeing now, it may be far-fetched for a lot of people to come up with 20% of something that's maybe $800,000.
I know. Well, place a bet.
Don't talk about the betting. We're going to talk about that behind the scenes.
It depends on who you're betting for. I can tell you who you should bet on. And you'll come up with that down payment.
Oh, gosh.
Ways of getting down payments by Kristin.
Read that disclaimer again.
Right? We are not confirming all bets by Kristin.
Ways to get insurance by Kristin. Ways to get your mortgage.
Ways to get your down payment.
Ways to get your down payment by Kristin Burnett.
Down. Forgo that PMI.
Behind the scenes. That's behind the scenes. Oh my gosh.
Come with me to Atlantic City now.
Oh my God. So basically, what are some of the down payment requirements, Kristin?
Well, with FHA, it's 3.5% down.
Okay.
For a conventional loan, 5% down and more, you know, and up. VA loan, which is for our military.
Yes.
And thank you for your service.
Yes.
All our military members. You could put nothing down. There's no down payment required on a VA loan.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, for our people.
And a lot of veterans probably don't even know that. So that's really, I mean, it's a due service. I mean, it's just service for them as well. I mean, they serve. That's fantastic.
I hope everybody who could take advantage of it does, because that is that's.
I've done quite a few.
Yeah. Okay.
And
how is the interest with that though? Is it would it be the same, because they're not putting down no money?
They still get the same interest rate as you would on an FHA loan. It's pretty much the same thing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Do those loans finish, like, what's the proper word? Like, you know, the time process of the whole thing. Does it finish quicker, or is it the same as a conventional?
VA loans and FHA loans sometimes take a little longer than a conventional loan, but then it also all depends on who's doing the loan.
Okay.
You know. Their experience and how quickly they could push it through. Direct lenders, of course, can push it through faster as opposed to going to a mortgage broker. but it's all preference.
Okay.
What is the timeline, to complete the home buying process? What do you think? It can range from
the moment you find a house, you have to do your home inspection, of course, before you go to contract. And once you go to contract, from contract to closing, it takes anywhere from 60 to 90 days.
This is with no problems.
That's with no problems.
No hiccups, no issues.
If there's problems, it could take longer. I mean, it could take 4 months. I've seen 5 months. But, with no problems and smooth sailing, you're looking 60 to 90 days. You could be in a house.
What do you come across as the major problem when in the process? The most consistent issue?
Usually title problems.
Okay.
Title issues, in regards to the house.
Okay.
The seller selling the house, or violations. There could be a tax lien. There could be a sidewalk violation. Well, a garage that was built without a permit. Those pop up all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be a flux of different situations.
That was a good question. I'm watching you. That was a good question.
you know.
All right, Kristin, what are the closing costs you should budget for beyond the down payment?
Usually closing costs, they tell you 6% of the mortgage amount you should estimate for closing costs. Okay. So if you're buying a house for $300,000, which
where that's at,
right?
Well, North Dakota.
Well, you're right. I'm thinking New York. I have a New York state of mind, but no, yeah.
If you're going somewhere outside of New York, so you'd factor like $18,000 for closing costs, but your closing costs are going to run you from $20,000 up.
Right.
So take into consideration the down payment, your closing costs, your attorney fee,
right?
Your home. There's a fee for the home inspection. Right. Those are all fees that come out of pocket.
Okay. Well,
hold on, who does the home inspection so people could know, the viewers could know? Who does?
You as a buyer hire your own home inspector, private home inspector.
And where do you find that?
You could just Google them.
Oh,
you just Google. You just Google
them. Or I refer.
Okay.
Or sometimes the attorney refers a home inspector. Yeah, they're all over out there. Yeah.
But most of the times, the agent that you're working with usually has a referral of somebody.
I work with a few. Yeah. It's important to have good people in the process. You need to have team players. Everybody needs to be. You have to have.
And you know what? We didn't put this
transaction.
We didn't put this question down, but what's the importance of getting a good person to do the home inspection that people might overlook and think, just something I got to do just to get the process done? Like, how important is really getting somebody good to do the home inspection?
Somebody who knows what they're talking about. Somebody who's detailed.
Okay.
Somebody that really goes above and beyond.
Because these people are going to essentially tell the person that's buying the home, hey, wait a minute,
right.
This foundation looks funny, or there could be
somebody who knows what they're
somewhere
talking
or something.
about.
Yeah.
I've had home inspectors that make big deals. That sink doesn't have a GFI outlet over it. That's nothing. Okay. That's something you could do yourself.
Yes, right.
We're looking for plumbing. The house has to be delivered free of leaks. We're looking for a foundation, electric. That's
that kind of stuff.
The roof. Those are the major things. Anything outside of that
is minor.
Yeah.
All right.
Basically, the meat and potatoes of really what's going to get this passed.
Right.
All right. Are there any incentives or programs available for first-time home buyers you can share? I think you mentioned already
the FHA. You can put down as little as 3.5%, and you can finance your closing costs into the mortgage. Okay. And that's a big incentive, because if you're just putting out the 3.5% down, that's putting out $20,000 only, as opposed to putting out $50,000.
Now, for the person that's hearing this, and this is like a good weapon to have in your back pocket. Like, I really got my closing costs, but man, I don't got I may have the down payment, the 3.5% down, but I don't have the closing costs.
Right.
That's a good weapon to have to say, well, I can roll this into the mortgage.
Yep.
So you have to tell the lawyer you want to do that, or the agent that's something you want to do?
Well, you have to tell the banker that you're interested in doing that, so they could do the specifics with the loan. But then when we go to look at a house and we put in an offer, it's key, because what happens is, if you're putting in an offer on a house for $400,000, but you want to do the concession, you want to roll the closing costs into the mortgage, we're going to have to make the sale price of the house $420, let's say, as opposed to $400. But we have to make the sellers aware of the fact that they're netting $400. They're not netting the $420.
Okay.
So we just have to, there has to be clarity with that. And they have to be willing to accept that, because some sellers will say, well, if my house appraises for $420, but I'm only getting $400, why am I taking only $400?
Not understanding that
why aren't I getting the $420?
Right. Not understanding the $20,000 is what was mortgaged.
You're helping out the buyer. You're not paying taxes on that $20,000.
Right.
The transfer taxes. So, it's harmless.
So how does a buyer know if their property has potential?
Well, usually when you go in and you look at it, you know if there's work to be done, but you always see the potential. Every house has potential, but the true test is when the appraiser, you go into contract, the appraiser from the bank has to come in and appraise the house. The appraisal, really, because let's say you're buying the house for $400, if the appraisal comes in at $450, you're good, because you're going in with equity.
Right.
Now, if you are buying a house for $400 and the appraisal comes in for $380,
right?
No.
So basically, if I'm buying a home, our viewers are buying a home, they should wait for the appraisal, because you could walk into a home and just see the outside. You don't know what's really the guts of the house. You just see somebody, because you could slap up anything and look good, but that doesn't mean that this is a good buy.
Right.
I can put some paint on a wall. I can rent a stove. I can rent a fridge. I can put down some cheap, flooring.
Right.
And then you think, oh, this house is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the boiler's messed up.
Right.
The electricity is messed
that's
up.
Where the home
plumbing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So as a buyer, you should definitely wait for the appraisal and get your home inspected before you get your hopes up thinking.
Yeah, get your home inspected before you go to contract. And then, and that's another thing. You wait for the appraisal, but at the same time, if the seller has a good realtor, the house should be priced right according to comps.
Say it right, Kristin. If the seller has you.
That's right. The seller has you.
The seller has me.
Right.
I look at comps.
Right.
I look at the same thing a bank appraiser looks at when it comes to pricing a house.
Right.
Okay.
Because that's the last thing you want, is an appraiser to come in. If they undervalue the house for less than what the buyer is paying for it, there's no deal.
Oh, okay.
There's no deal.
Wow. Does that happen commonly out there?
I've had that happen, yeah. I've had that happen. Yeah. Because I go in, when I do a listing presentation, I tell people what I think they should list their house for. I put the comps in front of them.
Right.
I say, this closed in the last 3 months, a block away.
Right.
And, you're not really comparing interiors. You're going with the comps. But, at the same time, if a seller says to me, well, I don't care about that, I want to list it for $50,000 more than I suggest.
Right.
Do I say no? I tell them that after 30 days, if we don't have that number, if we don't have any offers, then we're listed too high. But it's my objective to go in and make the seller aware of the proper pricing for the house.
Right.
And then there's no problems.
Right. And when you say comps, you mean the comparables to the homes in the area?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. What's
Okay.
closed, yeah.